All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Happy, what is it? Why can I never remember the days? It is Thursday. Oh, the thing just told me it's Thursday. Okay, perfect. Hope you're having a great day so far. Hey, we need a name for the 5 o'clock show, our stock market update. Starting Monday, it's going to have a new name. It's going to have an unbelievable new design, the way we're going to go over things. So if you like the stock market update now, you're going to love it when it comes Monday. But I need a name. So we're going to post some stuff on social media, wherever you happen to see that post, or here on YouTube. I need a name for that video. It's a stock market update for our customers as well as for the public. But we go over, obviously, all of what the stock market did for the day, the financial news of the day, really short of a short time period. So give me a name. I need it to be creative. The winner gets a shirt, a coffee cup, a towel, probably some business cards, and a thank you note or something. We'll figure something out. But let me know, because I really, really want a name. If you don't know what in the world I'm talking about, we're Jazz Wealth Managers. We talk about finance, investing. We help you with your investments. We manage your investments. We are one of those companies where we manage our own portfolios. So go to the website, check out portfolios if you want to see how we've done or what those portfolios do. Today we are doing something a little bit different. We're going to talk about ways to reduce risk in your retirement. We do these videos every now and then, and I try to just give you new ideas for this. But what happens is, in between those videos, we talk about contributing, how to make sure you get the most out of those retirement accounts or those long-term investing accounts. And so we don't spend a lot of time going, yeah, but now that you have them, your 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, SEP IRA, whatever you have, 457, 403b, anything, now that we've talked about that, what do you do to reduce risk? So there's a couple things I want to talk about with that. Now remember, if you're making contributions to a Roth IRA, an IRA, whatever you have outside of your workplace, weekly contributions. We did a study that showed if somebody did, instead of doing $200 a month, if instead they did $50 a week as the breakdown, what would happen if with their returns over a 30-year period? So if we take this and we take this and we compare them, this guy wins by $30,000 extra in growth. If you go back over, we actually went back over the market cycle for someone in that age or that retirement group. $50 a week ends up with just over $30,000 more in retirement. Think about that. Why is that, by the way? It's really simple. Take a look at the markets. Even over the last couple weeks, you've got this sort of pattern happening with the markets, right? What's going on here? So every couple weeks, if you're investing every week, you may buy towards the lower end of this range, maybe the lower end of this one. All right, maybe this time you bought up here and this time you bought down here. Versus the person that waits till the beginning of the month. What happened at the beginning of last month, right? Take a look back and see. You get that advantage. So you got a little bit better average cost. It's not because the $30,000 doesn't come because the person somehow invested better in the products that they chose. It simply comes because they had a better average cost over time. So remember, keep that in mind. But anyways, we're here to talk about 4 things. Well, we happen to have 4 things that you could do to reduce your risk in retirement. Here's the first thing. And I brought along a chart today to share with you. Hopefully this pops up when we're ready and everything will be cool. So the first thing, I need you to take 5 minutes. I need you to take 10 minutes, whatever it takes. Log into your 401k account and move away from those target date funds. If you're at Fidelity, if you're at T. Rowe Price, if you're at Prudential, if you are at, shoot, the names aren't coming to me now, Hampton and American Funds, if you're one of those. So these companies, oh, Wells Fargo for sure. We've done videos on these as the news came out. These companies are taking excessive risk with your target date funds. So if you've got a target date, first of all, what is that? Target date. Wow, man, some of these people that make videos and they can write and talk at the same time, incredible. So target date fund, basically what the company says is you take all your money and you put it into our target date fund 2045 or something, right? And so every time you get paid out of your any contribution you make from your paycheck in your 401k to the 2045 fund, basically they're saying, we got you, don't worry. We're going to do, I don't know, 80% certain stocks and 20% bonds, if that, right? So don't hold me to that. That's just an example, right? It could be any kind of mix of international. It could be, you know, it could be anything on the bond side, probably a lot lower on the bond side. What's happened though? Here's the problem. Because the stock market has been outperforming and the bond market's not helping, what's happened is these target date funds have said, we need to keep up. We need to keep the game going, and we can't because we're being held back here. So what these target date funds have said is, although maybe we should be at 80-20, let's go 90-10 for someone who maybe should be at 80-20. And now what's happening is they're saying that's not good enough. These prices on the bonds are going crazy. They're going 97 and 3. So taking a lot more risk than necessary. Now you look at it and you go, they say I'm cool. I'm going to retire at 2045, give or take a couple years. I should be good, right? They're taking excessive risk, especially the names that I mentioned. So take 5 minutes, move away from the target date funds if you can in your 401k. Now we take a look at these. I probably look at anywhere from 7 to 10 a night for our different customers. Anyone that's a customer of Jazz Wealth, I will look at your 401k. I'll monitor it with you in addition to obviously what we do. But one of the things I love to do is look at what you have and look at what your choices are. Here's the problem. You're going to be given a list in your 401k of like all these target date funds, right? And you did the right thing. You just look through and you say, well, I'm going to retire closest to 2045 or whatever it has to be. Then you're given a list over here of what's normally called active, depending on where you're at. And these are going to be anything from small cap funds, your large cap funds, a little bit more work, right? Because you're going to have to go through them to figure out what you like. I'm trying so hard to write and oh, I can't do it. I was trying to write and talk at the same time. So you're going to have all kinds of different things. You'll have a bond fund. You might have a stock fund in there or something. And so there'll be a lot of choices. Here's the problem. Many 401ks, you can't make that transition. You can't leave your excessive risk 2045 and say, go ahead, give me a little bit here, and a little bit there to get a decent amount of risk for your goal. Because what happens is this thing maybe costs you 1.2% or something. I don't know what it costs. But this guy is going to cost you 0.65. This guy, you know, and so on. This one might cost you 1%. Let's call it 1.1%. You get the picture. A lot of these tend to have higher fees, and so it just doesn't make sense to move out of it. They do that on purpose because if you do this, you're less likely to call them and bug them and ask questions because you go, it's a 2045. What else do I need to know? I'm going to retire at 2045. I get it. That's why they want you to stay there. So a lot of times you can't actually move away from this, but you need to check. Right? You got to definitely check and see if your target date fund is taking excessive risk. Can you move away from that? Is there a better option to get you the growth that you're looking for without taking the excessive risk? And I put up a chart here. Oh, it worked. Okay, perfect. Look at the chart here on the screen. This is a chart that shows from like up here. This is where you have 50 years left to retirement, right? And what's happening there is you've got 50 years left to retirement and you're taking a lot of risk. You should be, right? As you get closer to retirement, the risk starts declining all the way into the very, very end stage of your life where you're taking very little risk, okay? So notice the difference there between these funds. I've showed this chart before where the line that's going vertical there, that line is actually the, I wonder if I can edit that in real time. Can I edit that? I'm gonna try something. Nah, I can't do it. I don't want to waste your time. So that line, the vertical line, that's the year that you retire. From the vertical line to the right, you see how there's a big difference between the top portion and the bottom portion? The top being the most aggressive, the bottom being the least aggressive. That's what you had in target date funds. We don't have the latest data yet because Fidelity stopped reporting it. Principal stopped reporting it. American Funds says they're going to report it, but they haven't. So they stopped reporting. But what's happened is at the very end of that chart, all the way over here, at the very, very, very end, that's now ticked back up. They are taking more and more risk in the later portion of your retirement. The closer you're getting to that target date, because they got to make up for it, don't fall for that, right? Don't get in trouble, because the markets will fall at some point, and it could hurt you if you have an exposure that's greater than normal. Okay, sorry, I went a little long on that one. But that's the first one. Take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes. If you're one of our customers, take 2 minutes to just throw all the documents at me. I will take a look, and if I can move you from the target date fund over to some other funds, save you money, and get you the allocation that makes sense, that we're looking for, and you know for a fact that's what you're getting, I'm happy to do it. Okay, so certainly something I will do. Number two, so that was the first thing. Number one was to do that. Number two, I want you to raise your inflation expectations. We've had a great period of time where we've been able to expect lower inflation. The Fed has made it clear they're trying to play that game and bring things back a little higher. So if you're doing calculations, number two, you have to put inflation in there. Whether you calculate it yourself or you have me do it for you, you've got to put inflation in there. I'm saying whatever the default is, most default for calculators is like 2.8. I think it's 2.8. I don't use a default one, but don't hold me to that. It might be 2.8. Maybe go to 3.2, 3.4, something like that, to reflect more of an average over the long term, not what's happened here in just the last 10 years or so, okay? So raise your inflation expectations. What does that mean, by the way? If you're a beginner, that means that it's going to seem harder to get to your retirement goal, because inflation is going to eat away at it. Now, your contributions should also be going up by the same amount as the inflation that you calculate. I'm probably just confused everybody there, but the short answer is just to understand that by raising your inflation calculation, then it means that it's going to be harder for you to get to your goal and make you try a little bit harder, but it's more realistic as well. Number three, you got to rebalance, okay? If you have an IRA that you're managing yourself, a Roth IRA where you're picking and choosing different funds, different stocks, whatever it may be, what is your percentage? Somewhere in your graph there, it should show you that you're like a breakdown. It should show that you have like, you know, I don't know, 80%, wow, that's horrible. 80% stocks and 20% bonds or something. You should see some kind of a graph that's in there. If that has been your allocation for the last couple years, you 100% need to go in there and rebalance, okay? So I know we did this before, but let me do a quick explanation for this one. What does it mean to rebalance? So if you have $10,000 that you started with 5 years ago, and you said, okay, I'm going to put, what we say? Well, let's just do 80%. You got 80% in stocks and 20% in some kind of fixed income, okay? And so, oh no, let's use it this way. Make it real easy. You got $10,000 and you did 50%. This will be real easy, okay? So you did 50% in stocks, 50% in your fixed income of some kind. We'll just say bonds, okay? Now, if it's been a few years, what's happened? You had $5,000 in stocks. How'd your stocks do? Over the last year especially, you killed it, right? Stocks returned 18%, maybe 25% depending on where you're at, maybe even more. So stocks killed it. Is it going to rain? Oh man, that's a hell of a cloud. So let's say that the value of this increased, right? And maybe you ended up making 20%. Let's just say 20% overall. This was $5,000, right? Now if you made 20%, now what is it? $6,000, right? And this over here, I don't know. I don't know if they did too well, but let's just say it stayed the same. I don't know. We'll keep it simple and make it stay the same. So now you've got the same $5,000 over here. You now have $6,000. Doesn't that change your allocation right here? You're no longer 50-50. Well, if you're now more risk over here, 55-60%, what happens when the markets fall? Now you're going to take a greater hit here because you're allocated more towards that. So what you got to do is rebalance, go in your portfolio and figure out where you're at. If you've got $6,000 in bonds, you've got to rebalance everything to bring it back to the 50-50 that you wanted. That was unfortunately a very horrible explanation of how it's done, but we did a video on rebalancing just about 2 weeks ago. If you go to our channel and you search rebalance, just put the title rebalance in there. That should take care of the deal there. Okay, I don't want to take much more of your time, but we have number 4. The fourth thing is when you get closer to retirement, start planning on how you're going to take money out in the early years. So many people do calculations where they say, I want X number of dollars per year, when in reality, those first few years of retirement, you're probably going to be more active than the later part of your retirement. You may end up spending more money. So just as sort of a final thought, make sure that you keep that in mind. You don't want to say, oh, I need $80,000 a year for retirement. That may be the case, but you might spend a little bit more in those early years. So start thinking of that. It's kind of one of those things that we spend a lot of time with our retired customers here kind of talking about. So that's it. I talked a lot. Sorry about that. You know, the name of the show. So of course, we're trying to name our 5 o'clock show. I'm kind of thinking, I want it to relate to the fact that it's a stock market update of some kind and that we're going over things. But I like that sort of that idea there. I got a good suggestion from a guy, emailed it to me, that said bearing the bull. I thought that was pretty cool. We'll see. I'm gonna take a look at all of them though. Is there one day of the week that historically is the best day of the week to buy investments? Monday, Tuesday, historically the market is down. We did a study on that. I believe the video was posted, it was somewhere close to New Year's if you want to search. There is a very small difference. If you go back to 1970, I think that's as far back as we went, there is a very small difference that says if you could buy on a Monday versus a Thursday, a Monday versus a Wednesday, a Monday versus a Friday, the most minute little difference. So yeah, Monday, and we didn't do Tuesday. It was just Monday versus every other day. Technically is a slight advantage. I wouldn't stress over that one. That one's not as big as making the weekly contribution. That was a big, $30,000. I'm not laughing at that. That was a good one. Should you always stay away from target date funds, 401ks, and pick actives when they are offered in 401k? Actives seem to give you more control over rebalance and risk. They do give you more control, of course, as far as adjusting as well. You know what's going on in those funds. It just can't cost you more. I don't believe in that. Like, the risk will be adjusted. Those companies will come around at some point. They'll either be forced to reduce their risk, or customers will start leaving, and they will. So they'll adjust at some point. I just don't want you to pay more because you feel like I need to be more active at where's the break even. So we run all of that for you if you need help with it, by the way. I'll give you the break evens and everything. Eddie, nice, good job. Yeah, we got a plan, don't we? Yeah, we got a plan for sure. Me and Eddie, we're looking for the markets to fall. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there. We'll be back at 5 o'clock. Spend the rest of your day thinking of what the name of our stock market update show should be. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.